In this session, I want to talk a little bit about how the analysis data is stored in the database. And here we're taking a look at Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. And the analysis data I have going to the MES analysis database. And we can see the tables in here. And the OEE production information is stored in tables that start with prod. The reason that table names are shorter is because when if you use Oracle, there's a limit to table name length and things like that. The qual stands for the quality, and that's where the SPC stores data. But we're just going to take a look at the production tables, and that's where the OEE information is stored. So we see where we have a run summary. That will give us a list of all the runs that have been done in the system. And if we take a look at line, we'll get line information. Now, one thing we don't see in the line summary here is we do not see a column that is OEE. We just store the raw data. So we have our elapsed time, we have production counts, hour of the run, all that information is in here. Run time, downtime, but we do not have the actual OEE. So I want to take a look at why that is and why you may not want to just come directly to the database to get your OEE information. So if we take a look at some possibilities on analysis here, what we're taking a look at is our OEE by shift. So if we stored the OEE in the database, we'd have to store 49 for shift 1. But then I might come in and say, okay, give me the OEE for shift by line. And then we'd have to store a different number in there for that. And then, oh gosh, let's pull it out by operator. Then we'd have to store each number, OEE number for each operator. And you can see because of the flexibility of the analysis system here, we'd be storing a lot of OEE numbers. So that's the main reason that we don't store the OEE in the database. The disadvantage is you can't just run a select statement against the database and get your answers with including the OEE. So for that reason, we have an analysis engine, and you use either the analysis controller or the analysis selector. Now, how the data flows through the analysis manager. We start out with analysis controller. And it makes a request into the analysis manager. And this is on the gateway. This is on the client. Okay. And our database is over here. So the request comes in, then the analysis manager first has to build select statements based on the request. And that's really quite dynamic because we don't know what you're going to ask for and what data we need to get. So it cannot be something that's predetermined. It's not always the same select statement. There's different joins because we saw there were different tables, and the joins are very critical. There need to be one-to-one joins and such. So it goes through a process of building the select statements. Then it's going to execute them. That's pretty great, easy. goes out, it gets back the raw data. And the raw data is not much use to us because it's all the many rows of production information and shift changes that are in there and all kinds of information like that. So we go through a grouping. And grouping is very important because the grouping has to be by production run. Because if we had production counts for one run and they got blurred with production counts from another run, then we cannot, calculate the correct OEE. We can't even return back the correct production counts. So we have to group by production run. And we also have to group by anything else that you included in the compare by. Then we go through a calculation stage and consolidation. So it calculates the OEE. It might determine the, if you pulled it out, production counts by shift, let's say you wanted, then it's going to determine the delta of production counts or of any information, downtime, things like that. Downtime, on and on. So it has to go through a lot of calculations there. And then it puts the results into a data set. And that data set gets returned back to the client. Some other things are going on there too. We cache this data. So if multiple requests come in and they're all very, similar, same set of data, then we cache the data and just return back the data set and don't go through this process again. So you can see if you did a select statement and you wanted to get OEE out or production count by shift or anything else like that directly with a select statement, you would have to go through this process as well. Your queries would probably be very specific. They're not going to be dynamic. You're going to have to go through the grouping, the calculations, and get that data set back. So this is why we have the analysis manager, and you access it through either the analysis controller or the analysis selector, which gives you the graphical user interface to make your filters and things like that.